and anything and everything that we do in teaching, sir. What do you feel while teaching, which again means freedom from textbook, because you're moving away from textbook and being creative in a narration and hypothetical situations. But what kills creativity, sir, in that way?
What kills creativity? Again, coming back to the original square one, textbook dominated system. Whatever I will talk will be textbook verbatim. The questions will be bookish questions, and I expect the answers in the same bookish language. That itself is the first major factor which kills creativity. Research clearly shows in one of our projects, huge projects in Homi Baba Center, we had kept a huge record, hundreds of classes, every minute. What was the teacher doing and what were the students doing at that time? Minute to minute record, hundreds of lessons. And then we found out that whenever the teacher is talking about something which is outside the book, it can be some event, incidents, experience, observation, whatever it is. Students have a lot to contribute. Different ideas, arguments, disagreeing, adding to some other thing and all that. But the moment teacher starts talking about the bookish factual information or those paragraphs, everybody keeps mum. So if you want the life in the class, the key to the problem is, as far as possible, remain outside the text.
Okay.
Talk about things. Of course, focused on what is the science that I want to give at this level. But avoid bookish language, bookish questions, and most importantly, insistence on bookish answers. In fact, textbook, syllabus, whatever we call, is really a skeleton.
Right.
Expectations at which level, what is it that students should understand, they should be able to apply and all whatever it is. Okay. The concepts, their order, and this is a canvas at this level. That is textbook. One has to add, as a teacher, flesh to that skeleton. And adding that flesh and making it live itself is science teaching. Science is not those printed lines in the textbook at whatever level, from primary to graduate and postgraduate and whatever it is. Understanding the meaning of that, starting to make it realize in my life. What is it? Why is it important? Where it is applicable and all that. So if that is done, then I have done some science. So unfortunately, this has at present become the lost pleasure. Lost pleasure for teachers, pleasure of teaching science. And for students, pleasure of doing science, seeing science. So what we expect at all levels, even at university level also, one should start feeling science, doing science. Doing science is not merely lab work. Okay. So what kills creativity? The simple answer that I can see is insistence on that bookish language. Language is very important because young children, they come from different backgrounds. Their language backgrounds, family language, the language in the surroundings, and the formal language used in the textbook. They are very different. Just try to remember Archimedes' principle that you have mugged up in when you were a student. Where does it start and where does it end? Nobody feels that. A long chain of words, many of them not known to me at all. So that language is a very, very big barrier at young student stage. So keeping away from that. If you stick to it, you are killing creativity. And secondly, making students dumb. Don't ask me anything. As a teacher, whatever I tell you, remember it, mug it up, read it, and get rid of it. Don't ask me anything. That's yet another thing which kills creativity. A teacher should have a stock of some good questions, as you said. Hmm. And actually, we expect students to raise them. When I'm teaching about care of teeth and brushing every day, morning and evening, and all that, really, at least one of the child in the class should get up and ask me, "Sir, you are talking so much about brushing of teeth. I have 10 cows in my stable, 5 bulls. None of them ever brushes their teeth, but I have not seen any single bull which has rotten teeth. How is it possible? Is it really necessary?" A child should ask this. This is what I have said. But if it doesn't come there, I should raise it in the class. Hey, I'm wondering about this. What do you feel? Think about it.
Right.
And next week, on Saturday, whoever has whatever idea, maybe you can talk to an animal husbandry doctor in the village. You can talk to some professor in the college, your grandma, grandfather, and all that. So, sources of information, communication with them, these skills also start developing because every child starts thinking about it, his own ideas, and my grandma said this, and doctor said this, and all that. With that, they should come. So, maybe at least once in a week, you should keep half an hour where such questions. So, that is another trick. Creativity and all that, making class alive. So teachers should have a stock of such questions. Maybe group of teachers can work together and for every chapter for a given thing, design such questions. So answers to those questions can be provided to teachers, but with the instruction that don't expose them immediately.
Right.
Make students think. Let it be an open opportunity to develop some skills, guess making, making arguments with others. Hey, you say this, but I have seen this, whatever it is. Okay, so that is yet another. Okay, go ahead.
While with whatever you're saying, sir, actually, my next two questions also you've answered through that. So my other questions were actually, how do you dial into a child's mind, and how do you kill boredom for teaching? I think you actually said that with whatever you've been saying. It actually says that about everything that one should do. Probably not give the full picture, just give enough picture that you tease them with the idea, but you're almost giving them a hint, and then you letting them to go and explore. Not just for the students, but even as teachers, I think one should continuously learn or unlearn new ways to say it. And I'm sure even while teaching, there's not just one way of teaching, there are multiple ways of teaching. So, and every time we keep teaching it and keep challenging ourselves in that very self-exploratory kind of a way, I think new forms emerge. I want to ask you about a very, very important subject, and this has been there for eons and it's never going to go away. How fundamental and how important it is, the relationship between a teacher and a student.
Oh, so one doesn't have to provide any formal answer or legal answer to this. A simple thing one can realize. Abdul Kalam used to enjoy company of children, maximum time with them and all. Wherever he went, fortunately, I had the good fortune to be with him for quite a long time. Wherever he went, no matter whether small children, high school children, university, almost at every place, this question was raised. Sir, you could achieve so much in science. Who had inspired you to get into science? And every time the answer was, when I was in class 5, my teacher who had passed only class 7, the way he used to talk to me, the way he used to talk about science, that was the trigger. And that is not with APJ alone. Raghunath Mashelkar and many others. Everybody, and you go to any advanced lab, BRC, ISRO, whatever it is, laser lab, there are very many young scientists there working. Most of them are from villages, remote places and all. Talk to them that who inspired you or how did you get interested in? Oh, every time there was a science exhibition, my teacher insisted that I must make something. And then we used to talk together and what can we make and all that. With his ideas, I used to start. And wherever I was in difficulty, he used to give me hint whether I should use cardboard here or a plywood sheet will be better, and what size should it be, and all that. So every scientist, you talk to him and you will find that he will talk about the teacher at this level, from class 5 to class 10, those teachers, irrespective of their educational background and facilities in the institution in which the people learn, the spirit of the teachers. So if that is to happen, then one has to come out of that role of Purohit, giving you the ritual procedures, and be a friend. By friend, I don't mean that you have to play with them marble and make jokes and all that. But the students should not be scared of you. In fact, he should look at you as a resource. Whenever I'm come with some strange idea, funny idea, maybe I can go to him and talk about it. That type of confidence in teachers. And with occasionally, not occasionally, but very often, whatever happens in the class, I'm thrilled. So I don't want to miss science class. One thing, and every day I'm looking for when it is at 3:30 science class. So everybody prepared for it. What will be today? That kind of personal relationship, that will always help. And timely appreciation. Maybe even a small query asked by a student. Oh, when I was a student, I never thought about it. Student asking, you are again and again telling that the green pigment chlorophyll in the leaves helps photosynthesis, make food in plants and all that. And without chlorophyll, there cannot be photosynthesis at all. But in my farm, we have grown a red vegetable. People buy it from us. Right from stem to tip of leaf, it's absolutely red, not a peck of green anywhere. Those plants also grow. Do they grow without food? Or is there something else which helps plants in making food? What is it? That child has seen that vegetable, many of the others have seen it in market. So, asking to teachers, I don't feel afraid. Maybe teacher will not have ready-made answer at that moment. But the teacher saying, oh, I also learned the same things, but I never thought of this. Very good idea. Okay, now you talk to some others whom you feel that they will know something. I will talk to some professors or go through the literature, and whosoever gets the answer first, we will inform it to others. This kind of appreciation, oh, very good question, very good effort, very good idea, and all that. So that helps in other way also. Others in the class, the peer group, they start feeling, oh, we are in the same class, we are reading the same book, same things. This chap could get this good idea. Why can't I? So next time, I will be also watchful about things, come up with my idea, and we will talk. And one good idea that works very well is in a classroom, if you put some cardboard carton with a slit just like a poster box and tell the students any such idea, any such curiosity, question, you write it on the paper, put your name, and drop it there like a letter. On every Saturday, not necessarily Saturday, once in a week, we will open that box. The questions that are of interest to many others, we will talk about them. Those for which we don't have answers, we will try to get them and share it. That makes students very live, and every science class becomes a lively experience. So the lost pleasure of teaching science for teachers, the key is in hand of the teacher itself.
Got it. So what I've come to learn, sir, in this last half hour is freedom from textbooks, coming up with creative renditions and storytelling of bringing science, making it more grounded, easy to understand and perceive, give enough hint, tease just about enough, so the children can go and explore, thereby also killing the boredom of the teacher. Again, thereby the classroom itself becomes a buzz of activity. So it kind of summarizes that it's just not teaching, but teaching very creatively. Now, does this also mean that anybody can become a teacher, or are some good teachers born with the innate capability of having great mentorship?
Yeah. So once the teachers get into this and make themselves believe that being a science graduate is not a necessity at all. I want to enjoy teaching science, and therefore I will start analyzing for every topic what is the science that has to be exposed, that has to be revealed. And then I will design my own ways to make it interesting, participatory, challenging. There can be some challenges also.
Sure.
You must have heard yourself and in family also, given a thermometer. If somebody has a fever, feels that he has fever, give a thermometer in the hand of adult and ask him, check whether he has fever and what is the extent. Up to putting it here, they will do everything. When they take it out, they don't know what is to be seen, where is to be seen, and how to decide what is the temperature. That happens with almost all things. Thermometer, construction, diagram, everything is known, but actually using the thermometer to get the reading. So why can't I do something like this on some day? If I have few thermometers, good. And again, faith in students. Keep full faith. Don't be afraid that they will break it. But make 5 groups of students. For every group, 1 thermometer in the hand. If you have 5, otherwise the one can be circulated one after the other. And go outside the class. Go to any place, any object, whatever you feel. You have to come back with 5 different readings of temperature of different substances, objects, whatever. Whatever. I don't give you which 5. You can go and find the temperature of green leaf from a plant, the drop of water falling from the tap, water in the pond there, dry grass, soil, whatever it is. It can be a temperature of skin of a bull or a buffalo grazing around. You have to decide. And every group should come up with altogether different. Others cannot imagine. Now you can measure. And then ask them, how did you measure the temperature of the leaf or the hot tin or the cover of a 2-wheeler standing there, polythene cover, resin cover? And every time you will find that this surface, I made this thermometer touch it like this and saw the temperature, and there was no difference. And then make them realize, if you have to measure the temperature of that object, the maximum surface, maximum area of that bulb should be in contact with that substance. If you simply touch it this, only a fraction, it is in contact with that substance, that object, and rest of the bulb is in contact with air. So what you are measuring? Temperature of surrounding air. So go again. And then students come up with the idea that I wrapped that leaf around this and then saw the temperature. Okay. About the resin and all that, metal surface, what can be done? So those ideas, as you were saying, innovative, creative and all that, student has to think about it. So those kinds of challenges, small challenges within their range, if they are there occasionally, everybody wants to participate.
Great. I think as a student right now, I have picked up something from what you have said. And I want all of us who are seeing this video to see this again and again and again. These podcasts that we're doing with the gurus that you come on board to help us are not just saying they're just not answering questions. This is lifelong experiences that they have gone through. They're articulating in a few sentences, and it's difficult. It's difficult because there's so much more to knowledge, and we're just breaking it down and trying to encapsulate this within this half an hour and trying to do this. I urge all of you, whoever seeing these videos, to go and see this again and again and again, and not just take it to what is being said, but every time when you see it with a new way of looking at it, there'll be so many other ways to experience this. I'll give you a simple example. And this could be a great analogy and a finale to this podcast. Sir said about thermometer, right? We all have read how thermometer is used. Theory, we have understood how thermometer works. But when it finally comes to it, we just, like sir was saying, we just touch a resin sheet or a sponge or a stone or a paper or whatever it is, and we're trying to understand why is the needle not able to give me the correct assessment. You have to encapsulate it, right? You have to keep it in the mouth or, in your armpit. Likewise, just like the bulb of the thermometer, you need to encapsulate it. Our knowledge in science, in this case science, because sir is a scientist and he's a great scientist who's done a whole lot of things. Now listen to what he said. This is my take on this. If you encapsulate whatever you know about science, and you're a student of life, till you're dead and gone, you are a student. And if you see it from that perspective, if you learn more and more about science and bring in your own experiences, life circumstances and events, and encapsulate all of that in the bulb of learning, you will be able to read it well. Otherwise, you're just touching and going. You're just looking at it like the textbook. You're just reading something which just some printed matter which doesn't make sense. So let's try to re-look into what sir is saying again and again. There's so much. If you actually look at it, every sentence that you said, if you think it that way, this is my way, this is my interpretation. And I'm sure you teachers, students, when we see this, every answer that is given us, there's a lot of hidden gems within that. So I urge all of you to see it that way. So I think with this, I feel anybody can be a teacher. I surely will try to use some of these things in my own learnings. Or whenever there's an opportunity for me to impart any knowledge, I'm going to use some of the examples that you've said, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.